What's going on, Playdate Community? We're here with the first tutorial. Today I'm just going to teach you guys how to get properly set up for developing for Playdate. We're going to be using VSCode, so let's get right into it. Today I opened up Nova and my 30-day trial had expired. So I decided I would install VSCode because I don't get these kind of pop-ups on VSCode. What you want to do is to install VSCode. Simple enough. Code visualstudio.com download. If you're on Windows, hit Windows. If you're on Mac, hit Mac. If you're on Linux, go ahead and you should know what to do. And that'll get set up. I already have Visual Studio installed, so I'm just gonna go ahead and open it up. So we're here on a fresh project. We can go ahead and hit open, navigate to desktop, create a new project. Let's call it my Playdate project. Nice and original. All right. And you open up and you're on your fresh Playdate project. So there's nothing in here. I'm going to teach you guys how to get completely set up from scratch. First thing you want to do is install the necessary extensions to VS Code. So let's go ahead and click this extensions tab. And we're going to type in Lua. And the first one that comes up should be this one. Check that it says from Somneco. So that one's perfect. It's going to get you what you need to get started. And we're going to, so you can hit install. And then we're going to install one more. It's called Lua Plus. And it's this one by Jeb Alaba. Go ahead and install that. We've got one more extension to install, which is the Playdate extension that will allow us to interact with the Playdate SDK and the simulator. So if you type in Playdate, you'll see that there's the first one that comes up. This one didn't work for me. So I recommend we use this one, which is the Playdate debug one, which for me worked well. It worked totally fine. And we're going to come back to this in a second. First of all, I need you guys to make sure that you have Git installed. If you're on Windows, it might not be pre-installed. Mac, usually it's pre-installed. So go ahead and click up here and open up a new terminal. Once you've got a terminal open, let's see if you can press Git and it shows you some crazy command, or Git-V. That will give you the Git version. If something comes up and it doesn't say unknown command, then you're good. If it does, then you want to go over to the link that I'll put in the description. There's one for Windows, there's one for more in general. That'll install Git for you. And trust me, you need Git. It's very, very useful. We're going to use it in this tutorial today, and you're going to use it your whole life. Get it installed. One more thing we need, important one, maybe a lot of you already have this, it's the Playdate SDK. So I've put the link down below again, and you go ahead and agree, read the license, guys, of course, very important, and download it for whatever platform you're on. It'll bring you through an installer. I'll just run it with you guys here because I went ahead and freshened up my setup for Playdate just so that you guys can see. And so once you're here, you can just hit, you can open up that zip file, install the package. It's an installer. Go ahead and type in your password. And it'll install everything else for you. So what it'll open up now, I hope it's the same on Windows, the Playdate SDK folder. So take a look and remember where this is, because it's going to be very useful. And in fact, I think there might be a command somewhere to copy and paste this path. Okay, I know that I can do it by just dragging and dropping this thing. Boom, that worked? Didn't work. And once you've done that, you can remove the installer. So we've got the Playdate SDK installed. We've got the extensions in VS Code installed. So we can already have a first test of whether this works. So let's create a new file. Let's call it main.lua. And let's just give it a shot. First of all, do you have autocomplete? Is it working? If it works, great. If not, maybe double check the extensions. Maybe restart VS Code, but usually you shouldn't have to. So we'll start with our first file, which you can start by saying import core libs object. Then you can define the function update, which would be function playdate.update. And and you can type print hello world. So before you can run, you have to create a launch.json file. So go ahead and press that, launch.json. And if we go back to your file explorer at the top, you'll see that there's a folder called .vscode, and that's going to be your best friend when using VS Code. Go back down to the extensions, open up Playdate debug, and in here, you're going to have actually 2 files defined for you, actually 3, but we'll do the first 2 first. And these ones are actually the files that you can add to this .vs code, and it'll take care of running the simulator for you. So go ahead and copy the contents. This first one is tasks.json. So we're going to go back to .vs code. We're going to add a new file, and we're going to do tasks.json and copy the contents there. There we go. Should be good. Go back to your extension. Go down to the launch.json. Copy the contents of that launch.json. And if you go back to the file and just print out the contents there, you should be good to go. So now you go to the Run and Debug tab, and you should have the green button for Playdate Debug. Give it a shot. Sorry guys, I made a mistake. Welcome to Playdate development. We're gonna have to create a folder called source, okay? And move this main.lua inside source. And we're going to need another file, which is the pdxinfo. I will just link a file to you guys that you can use as your basic pdxinfo, but that's basically where you're going to define the name, the version of your game, and its identifier, which has to be unique. So let's take a look. I've gone ahead and put down the contents. It should be at the top of the description. You just need to copy and paste the stuff. Basically, it'll handle everything for you. So you do need a unique bundle ID. So go ahead and name your game something else than Wheel Runner. So for example, com.yournamehere.mysupergame, and we're gonna call our game Super Game. And author, I mean, if you want, you can call yourself Franchovy, but we're going to run into some legal conflicts there. So once you got your main.lua and your pdxinfo, you should be good to run the game. And if you're lucky like me and everything worked, great on you. The simulator should have opened. Maybe you might not see the console, in which case don't worry. The console is the one that's printing hello world, but you should also see it down here in the debug console. And it should be printing 1 time per frame, so basically a lot of times. So we're going to get into Playdate development later. Let's take another tangent now. We just want to make sure you're real set up here. We don't want to skip any steps. So as you might have noticed, the Lua extensions does provide some autocomplete. So if you type in print, it does say print. Okay, great. If I assign a variable and say local my variable equals 3, and then you say my variable, it'll autocomplete that for you. And trust me that when you've got a bunch of files and a bunch of different stuff going on, you really want your autocomplete to be your trustworthy companion, okay? This is like your AI companion that's helping you write your game. Unfortunately, we have one issue. Everything that starts with Playdate is not recognized. So, and same with all the other commands that are defined by the core libs library. In fact, you'll see here that even import and even some other things that are usually accepted, like if you say local my counter equals 0 above playdate.update, and then inside playdate.update, you say my counter plus equals 1, and then inside print, you add a comma after hello world and you say my counter, and just changing the formatting there. So what happens is that your SDK is not gonna, oh, actually it does recognize the plus equals. Let's take a look. Playdate unofficial debug. So this one, okay, maybe it does. That's great. Anyways, one more thing, guys. Settings.json, if ever your SDK path is not the normal one, and I know that on Windows it should be the documents folder, and on Mac it should be the developer folder, Those two are the normal paths. If you're getting an issue that your Playdate SDK is not being recognized, you can go ahead and go inside this VSCode folder, create a file called settings.json, and paste in the contents that come from that extensions file. And so what you want to do here is add this SDK path that you previously wrote down because you're a good person, and copy it down here. I'm not going to do that because I personally added the SDK to my environment variables. If you want to figure out how to do that, there's a guide linked to the description below. You also have the source folder. I've named mine source, which is the standard naming. But if I wanted to name it something differently, I could change this from source to, I don't know, src, for example. Same with the output path. If I don't want my thing to be called the default name, I could name it output, and I could call the product, which is the actual name of the PDX, I believe. Yeah, so you can configure the path of your output of wherever your thing's going to get compiled to, and you can also change the name of your game when it comes out the other end. I personally don't need any of that, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove this settings.json. So how do we get this Playdate autocomplete to work? Because we don't want to be stuck with this underlined stuff all the time. Well, there's one guy, some genius out there, who's developed a package called LuaCats. So what I'll have linked down below is a GitHub. And in this GitHub, you're able to copy this project onto your computer and have this linked to your Lua extension, and this will basically set up automatically. So let's go at the top. You've got this button here that says code, which you actually don't need to code, you just need to follow my instructions. First thing you want to do is hit the copy to clipboard for the HTTPS link, and once you go back to VS Code, you should be able to open a terminal. I recommend you install this thing not in the same source as your not in the same place as your project, but the same place as the Playdate SDK. So if you want to navigate to a different place, you would use CD, for example, to go back up. So here I'm on desktop, and I can go to my, so you could do CD ... to go up to desktop, you go CD ... to go up again. And then from there, you can basically go either to your documents if you're on Windows, or your developer if you're on Mac. And then I hope you have Git installed by now. You press Git space clone space, and you paste the link that you just copied. And that should just copy over the whole project into wherever you just put it. So once you've done that, you can press CD and type in the name playdate.luacats, or just hit tab to autocomplete that one. And if you press LS, you'll see that you're basically looking at the same files as that we can see inside the GitHub right here. So what do we do from here? Let's read the instructions. LuaCats, what's that? Comment and type system. Great. So basically what it does is that it enables Playdate libraries to be seen by the autocomplete. And there's also some type system stuff, which I haven't looked into yet, but it's quite exciting. So the link here, CD to wherever you want to put it, git clone, that's what I just told you. And what you got to do next, copy the contents. There's a copy button on GitHub. You don't have to do it manually. Copy the contents of this .lurc.json and go ahead and stick it into your file, into your project. So you want to type in .lurc.json. And then from here, boom, you can put that contents there. And then here it says edit workspace library. Like where you, okay. Yeah, once you've done that, you can go ahead and edit this workspace.library and just reflect wherever you put that Playdate file. So in my case, it was users / my real name / developer /Playdate Luacats, and that's where you're gonna be able to do it. So once you've done that, you can go ahead and close VSCode, launch it again. From that moment, you shouldn't have any more underlines around import and Playdate. And let's test. If you type in Playdate now, first of all, it's recognized. Type in dot, you can see that all these different keys come, these auto completions come up. And that means that you've done your job properly. So from now on, you're gonna be able to program a lot easier. So let's test that by typing in playdate.graphics.draw text. And you're gonna go ahead and say, hello, Playdate Community. And then if you want, you can add 2 dots after that string there and add my counter if you have the counter there. And I'm going to specify maybe 60 and 110. And then from this point on, you can go on to run and debug, hit play, and what you should see in the game is, woo, a bunch of scrambled text. Good job. Let's just reset the playdate.graphics.clear. So if we're manually drawing stuff, you do have to go ahead and tell it clear. And then you could see that it works as expected. So congratulations, guys, on your setup. If you've already been set up before and this was just an improvement of how to get the autocomplete going, I'm very proud of you. We're ready to jump into the next tutorial. See you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.